broadcast live. And here we are. Welcome, everybody. It is 6 p.m. here in Colorado, and we are going to start here in a moment with our webinar. Today, we're going to talk about 10 disciplines to help us reach wealth and prosperity. And I can see attendees are starting to show up. It's nice to see everybody here. So for now, while people log in and show up, I am going to say welcome everybody and thank you to our Wednesday night webinar here with the Latino Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank KGNU and SUMA for helping broadcast and share this with all our viewers. And I want to say thank you to all our cultural brokers. You know who you are. And today we're going to talk about 10 disciplines to reach wealth and prosperity. So while you're logging in, if you want to go in here and use the chat and the question and answer as we're going along, we are going to, please send your questions, send them early and send them often. We are going to take a break, between slides to answer the questions as we go along. And also, if you want to use the chat down here, also, if you want to tell us where you're from and where you are visiting us from, that would be awesome, so we can see who we have here. And okay, so we got still people showing up. I am going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. So I have Jonathan here. He is going to be helping me with the questions and manage the questions, and he's going to take them and then bring them up when they're pertinent and appropriate. So with that, let's get started with our talk today. I'm going to share my screen first of all so you can see, and then we can follow a presentation here. All right, so there is our that, and I'm going to put this here. Okay, here we are. So let me start by telling you about NAHREP10. So about 10 years ago, NAHREP, which is the National Association for Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, they realized that while Latinos were closing the income wealth gap and earning more money than ever before, and obtaining college degrees at a higher rate than ever before, and participating in the workforce at a higher level than ever before, and than any other demographic, we were still not closing the proverbial wealth gap, or we were not closing it fast enough, to the tune of 8-to-1. So what they did is that they decided to create 10 disciplines that will help us, guide us, and guide our community to build more wealth and prosperity and experience all the American dream has to offer, to create and set up our families for long-lasting success. So NAHREP also believes that there is no reason why Hispanic and Latinos can't be among the wealthiest people in this country. And to make this a reality, well, we need information, we need tactics, and we need guidance. And that is what the NAHREP10 disciplines and principles are all about. So before I get started, I want to show you guys a short video. It's about 2 minutes long. It is in English. It is in Spanish, but it's got English captions. So you're gonna have to read here for about 2 minutes. This guy, his name is Jose Mujica, and he's a really interesting guy. He is the 40th president of Uruguay from 2010 to 2015. He was imprisoned because of some previous history, some guerrillas that there was going on in Uruguay. He was imprisoned for 12 years, and 10 out of those years, he was in solitary confinement. Imagine that. That's crazy. And he is also called the humblest head of state ever because of his austere lifestyle. So take a look. It's about 2 minutes long for this video, and then I'll be back to you in just a moment.
Lo diferente que nuestra forma de vivir, nuestros valores son la expresión media de la sociedad que nos toca vivir. Y nos aferramos a eso. Pero no ahora por ser presidente. Esto lo pensamos mucho, pasamos más de 10 años de soledad en el calabozo. Y tuvimos 7 años sin leer un libro. Y tuvimos mucho tiempo para pensar. Y descubrimos esto. O logras ser feliz con poco, y apología de pobreza, y es apología de la sociedad. Pero no me he inventado un comunista. Pero mira, tiene que no es una tenemos una montaña de cosas que hay que tirar y vivir en y de nuevo, pero una violencia, la única cosa que todavía se gasta, miserable, gastar la vida. Bueno, ¿cómo?
All right, so back to me. Really interesting, this guy. This is actually an excerpt from a longer 30-minute interview with him, and you can look it up. Jose Mujica. It's amazing. His life and his philosophies of life and money and being austere and all that. So anyway, here he also has a definition of happiness, and it happens to be my most favorite definition of happiness ever that I've seen around. And what he says is that happiness comes from having the ability to take care of ourselves and our families, to have friends and time to spend with them, and to have the freedom to do what motivates you. So what he's saying here is that happiness is not a destination. He's saying that happiness is a way of life and a way of living. What I also read in here is that happiness and wealth go hand in hand. They're relatives. They're like cousins, right? They're not really brothers, but they're distant relatives. One helps the other one, you know, especially when you read the part that says that you need to have the freedom to do what motivates you, right? So with that, let's start getting into our topic today of the 10 disciplines from the NAHREP 10. And you can see them here on my screen. So while you read those disciplines, before I can actually start covering them, I want to ask you this question. Do you know what is the difference between being rich and being wealthy? So before I answer that, I want to point out that wealth and the way we think about wealth is partly cultural, is partly how we were raised, and it's partly historical. So how did you grow up? Did you grow up with limited means, or did you grow up as a have or as a have not? That all skews and changes our definition of what wealth is and how we live our lives, really. So
Ricardo, it's a little bit hard to see the 10 concepts.
Oh, okay. I think I'm having a little technical issues with the my internet connection, but we're going to see them later in a moment. We're going to reach them one by one. Let me know if it doesn't get better. Okay, so back to the question. Being rich is just having a lot of money. Being wealthy is having enough money saved so you can live at your current standard of living for the rest of your life. Excuse me. So having enough money saved so you can maintain your current standard of living for the rest of your years. So if you can imagine that, and to get to that point, you have to have a clear definition of what it means, what that looks like to you, and how you want to get there in 20 to 40 years. You have to have a plan. So do you want to be Jane Rich, or do you want to be like Johnny Normal, or do you want to be Mr. Poor? In either case, your choice now is going to your choices now is going to directly affect what that looks like in 20 to 40 years. So start planning now. You have to kind of figure out and start thinking about how much money you need to make, how much money you need to save. And just know this, building wealth takes time and discipline. There is no get rich quick schemes, and 99% of those don't work anyway. So you may have to change the way you think about money, about work, and about family, because all those things are interrelated. So with that, let me introduce myself. My name is Ricardo Cabrera. I am a real estate agent. Let me show you my, my commercial slide. I am a real estate agent. I am an SBDC consultant. That's a small business development center. I am the operations manager for the Latino Chamber of Commerce. I'm a golf coach for my local high school. And I am a father to a one young, beautiful 22-year-old daughter. I'm a husband to my favorite person in the world, Gabi. I'm a brother. I'm the older brother of 3 sisters. And I have a full set of parents still with us and happily living in El Paso, Texas. I love what I do, and I do what I love. So with that, let's start getting into the 10 principles of the NAHREP 10. I'm going to set up a little quick scenario for you. John, is that getting better? Yes, I heard your lips say yes. Okay, so let me just set up a little quick scenario. It's a standard, you know, a very general thing. I'm going to talk about Johnny Normal right now. So Johnny Normal is 35 years old, and he hopes to retire at 65. Okay. Historically, his family, his parents, his grandparents, they've all lived to about 90. So this means that he's going to be working for 30 more years, and he's going to live retired for 25 years. So just to note the obvious in that one, if you make $1 a year, I'm going to use this example a lot because we have people here logged in that are from Mexico and from the US, and the currency, you know, might not match exactly for what we're talking about. But my $1 example is Johnny Normal. If he makes $1 a year, you know, he's going to retire at 65 and live to be 90. That means he needs to have $25 saved by the time he retires, so he can maintain that standard of living during his retirement years. So keep that in mind. It's going to come up throughout the presentation. All right, so without further ado, discipline number 1. Have a mature understanding of what wealth and prosperity is, because the one with the most toys loses. Guys, if you don't get this one right, the rest are impossible to achieve. Society teaches us to focus on the superficial. It's what you have and what you own, right? It's what you learn on television and on magazines. The most important factor for us to reach wealth is first to reach a sound and to have a real understanding of what wealth and prosperity is. You may have to reboot your value system. You may have to, you have to know for sure what the difference is between an investment and an expense, right? So you have to understand what a reasonable and sustainable standard of living is. And let me tell you this, a reasonable and sustainable standard of living is defined by what you make. It's not how you want to live, right? It's not what the neighbor's doing. It's what you make, and you have to adjust to that, you know, period. You shouldn't live on more than what you make. You should be the opposite. You should live on less than what you make. So let me talk about, you know, toy, since we mentioned it on the title here. So a toy is an example of an expense. So jewelry, clothing, you know, cars, those are all expenses. Anything that takes money out of your pocket is an expense. On the opposite side, investments, anything that puts money back into your pocket over time. But if it's putting money into your pocket, it's an investment. So the stock market, you know, a house, education. Some people say yay, some people say nay. I believe that education is a good investment because it'll pay you back for the rest of your life and for the rest of your years. So we'll leave that one with a question mark. But in a gist, discipline number 1, have a mature understanding of wealth and prosperity. All right. Discipline number 2, be in the top 10% of your profession, because being good is not good enough. It doesn't matter what you do. You still have to strive to be the best, and you have to work at it. What this does, if you are in the 10% of your profession, this will get you a raise. It'll get you a promotion. It'll get you a better job opportunity when that opens up. Growth comes built in, right? Yeah, they're never going to hire. They're not going to give a raise to the last guy on the line. It's always the best guy that gets the raise. This will help you also earn and maintain a sustainable standard of living. It'll help you generate a surplus every month. And then you take the surplus, of course, and you save it and invest it for the future. So you may ask yourself, why 10%? Well, we all know the 80-20 rule, right? In this case, in the case of work, the 80-20 rule would say that 80% of business is done by 20% of the people. And I just want you to be in the top tier. So, you shoot for 10, you'll be on the top. So be the best at what you do, live on less than what you make, and save and invest the difference for the future. And that's principle number 2. John, any questions so far?
No questions so far.
All right, good, man. I must be clear and concise with my explanation here. All right, discipline number 3. Let me tell you a story first. When I graduated from college many years ago, of course, the first thing I did was give myself a celebration vacation. So I went out on vacation and I was talking to this guy I met, and I was telling him my life dream and my life plan. And at the time, it went like this. It was, sir, I was 25, I think, 24, 25. I'm like, sir, I am going to work really hard, and I'm going to make $1 million until, between now and the time I turn 30. And then I'm going to retire and live happily ever after. And this guy gave me a look, and he goes like, well, Ricardo, the problem with having $1 million is that you live like you have $1 million. And of course, at the time, I had no idea what he was talking about. Now I do. And, the analogy is simple. Many people rise up to their salaries. If you make this much and you get a raise, then somehow you start spending more, and then you get a raise and you spend more. And that's not sustainable. That's actually, especially if you're like a business, or if you're a self-employed person, even if you're a W-2 employee, an 8-to-5 worker, it puts you in a vulnerable position, because, if you make more and you spend more, and then suddenly you make less. Like now, for example, we're in this COVID lifestyle, and a lot of us are making less. A lot of us are making nothing. Then what do? Your expenses are staying, and you're not making anything. And you have to prepare for this. So this slide tells us that you have to live below your means, because downturns are a regular part of our economy, and you have to prepare for the next recession. And right now, this makes a lot of sense to a lot of us. So this slide here, I also called it the budget slide. So I'm telling you, you have to have a sustainable standard of living and live below your means. So how do you measure this? So the way you measure this is that you create and you follow a budget, and a P&L is called in the business world. So I'm going to show you a quick example here of a budget, and I should have a spreadsheet here on your screen, and I'm going to start from the bottom. Is it clearing up for you?
No.
All right, well, I'm just going to talk it through. Hopefully it'll clear up for us here in a moment. I am having some internet problems. So what we see here is a spreadsheet that has a column at the top that says income and a column at the bottom that says expenses. And this here is an example of Johnny Normal, or actually I'm going to show you Johnny Poor first. And Johnny Poor, let me see, has a car, and costs $1 because his job pays for his health insurance, and all he has to do is $50 a month. This might be clear for you now. he has a food budget where he spends about $400 a month in groceries, $500 a month in the restaurants because he likes to go out to restaurants a lot. He has activities, he might like golf or he might like the movies. He's spending about $250 a month on that. He's putting $250 a month for vacations. That's about $3,000 a year because he likes to go on vacation. And a little budget for personal care. That adds up to $1,425. Is this slide better now, John? No? All right, so.
It's not working, I'm sorry.
Okay, so he also has cable, internet, Netflix, and a phone. So that costs him about $240 a month. And he has his rent, which he rents a room in a house or maybe a house for $1,350 a month. He has to pay insurance for that, gas and electric. So his standard of living, his cost of living is $4,045 per month, $48,000 a year. Now, he's making $3,550 a month, right? Because he has a regular job that pays him $3,300. And he has a weekend job that pays him $250 a month. That adds up to $42,600 a year. So in this example, Johnny Poor is $500 in the hole every month. Now, what this means is that he has to come up with this money somehow. Generally, it's a credit card. He's minus 14%. So he is not saving money. He is losing 14% of his money. So I'm going to go now again through the same slide. And I'm just going to adjust this to what I consider being Johnny Normal. So Johnny Normal bought his car cash. He has a simple, $5,000 car. He also gets the same medical benefit from work. He doesn't go to restaurants so much. He only spends $250 a month in a restaurant because he says, he goes on the weekends, every weekend, and he goes 4 times. And he still spends his groceries. Johnny Normal cut the cable, so he has no cable internet anymore. And Johnny Normal saves for a vacation as well, but he only spends $2,400 on his vacation. So at the end of the day, what this does for us is that in his budget, his standard of living is $37,750, and he's making $42,600. That puts him about 11% savings per month. We're shooting for 20%, but he now has $400 surplus every month that he can save and invest. So his budget is a simple spreadsheet. You can find this budget on this. You'll see this website later on. It's called mywealthbeing.com, and I have this spreadsheets and other calculators you can use in there. But this is a really easy way to see and to tell how you can manage your money to make sure, you have to sacrifice in some situations and to change your budget to make sure that you're at least breaking even, and our goal is to make 20% or save 20% of what we make. All right, so back to our slide presentation here. Let's get to our next principle, and it is principle number 4. Principle number 4 is minimize debt, because debt is the biggest enemy to wealth. Debt is a drag. Debt is the opposite of investing. It'll slow you down, and it can really, really easily get out of hand. In our Johnny Poor example, it's getting out of hand $400 a month. So there is good debt and there's bad debt. Let me remind you the difference between an investment and an expense, right? So if you borrow money for a car, is that good or bad debt? Or if you borrow a loan for an owner-occupied house, so you buy a house, you live in it, and you get a mortgage, is that good or bad debt? That's good debt. The car is bad debt, in my opinion. How about borrowing money or lending money for your cousin's business? I would put that in the bad debt side equation. Education, some people say yes, some people say no. I will have to say this. it would be a shame, or it'd be a tragedy if you get out of college with a $150,000 loan. You know, I would say get a job, pay for it as you go, and if you have to borrow something reasonable, because that can get out of hand as well. All right. Anyway, credit cards. Credit cards, don't use them. Those are the enemy. Don't use credit cards unless it's a convenience. So I'll have to say myself, I hardly ever have cash in my pocket. I do use a credit card. I actually use a debit card, which is a little different. And I have a credit card, but I pay it off every month. So I don't use it to borrow money. I use it as a convenience. So I want to give you a quick little example here. Another spreadsheet. Hopefully this one will show up better. And this example is a future value calculator. I'll talk it through for you guys. It's a standard formula on every spreadsheet, and it basically tells you what the future value of money is depending on how you use it and how you spend it. So my example that I have here, and again, it's a little slow on the technical side. So I'll just talk it through. So is it up? Okay, so my example is like this. Johnny Poor goes and buys himself a Starbucks coffee every morning. I shouldn't use the name. He goes and buys his very favorite coffee for $5.75. And he does 5 days a week. And he does this all month, so 4 times out of the month. So what that is doing is that he is spending $115 a month on coffee. Okay, so say he does this for 10 years. So if he does this for 10 years, he's going to end up spending $13,800 for coffee in 10 years. Now, Johnny Poor, since it's in the hole anyway, from the example we saw before, he uses his credit card to pay this. And let's just assume for the example that he never pays his credit card off, only the minimum. But for this example, let's just say he doesn't pay it off. And his credit card is 12%, right? So if you accrue 12% per month for 10 years, you end up with $26,454, and that's a debt. Now, we all know that there is no credit card in this world that gives you loans you money at 12%. They're all 18 and 25% per month. So let's do this and say it's an 18% credit card. So his number now is $38,000 plus. So how about if he does this for 20 years? You know, and I hope you can see this now because it's really shocking if you can actually see the numbers that I'm pulling up here. For 20 years, for that same example, $265,000. I can only imagine what 30 years looks like. Can you see it, Jonathan?
Is there any chance you can maybe zoom in into that specific area?
Yes. Let's see if I can zoom this. Anyway, I hope you can see it because it's more than $1.5 million if you do this for 30 years. So let's leave this for now and get back to our presentation. I apologize for the technical difficulty, but okay. So back to the presentation here. Discipline number 5. See if I can make this a little bigger, like this. Okay. Invest at least 20% of your income in real estate and the stock market, because they are the best and safest ways to build wealth. So this doesn't count your business. This is just strictly your savings that you're going to invest. So that, you know, talking about the $1 example. So if Johnny Normal lives on $1 per year, he will need to have $25 by the time he retires, so he can live for 25 years retired. So if he saves 20 cents per year, so we're saying if you make $1 and you save 20%, that's 20 cents. If you save 20 cents per year, in 30 years, you're only going to have about $6 saved, not 25. So how can you make that difference? And the answer is compound interest. And if you don't know what compound interest is, look it up in the internet. It's basically your money growing upon itself. So if you have $1 and you invest it and you get 20% or 10%, then you have $1.10 after a year, and then you invest that $1.10, and now it grows upon itself. It's a savings accelerator. It's amazing how that works. So why stocks and why real estate? So they're safe. So the real important thing here is educate yourself. Learn. Go out and read on the internet. Go read on a book. Learn about how the financial system works. Learn about capital gains. Learn about taxes. Learn about tax-free growth of your money. So that's a Roth IRA versus an IRA. Forget money managers. You go do it yourself. It's not rocket science. It's really simple to understand. So let's see if I can get this future calculator to look better this time. Okay, and I'm going to make it bigger. All right, is this better, John?
Yeah, it's much better. A little
Okay.
bit better. Can you make it just a tiny little bit more bigger?
Yes, I can. Let me do that. How's that?
That's, I think, much better.
All right, so here's the last example, and I'll let you soak that money in because this is a credit card example. So this same calculator is going to tell us what the money in the future is. So we're talking about saving 20 cents per year, and that means in this particular example, it's going to be let's see. So it's 20 cents per year in 30 years. At 0%, for what I do here, it's going to add up to $6. That was our example for just now. So compound interest. This same money, if it grows at 8%, it's going to be $24, almost $25. That's our magic number in Johnny Normal's example. But what if it grows at 12%? Now you have some money to spare at the time of retirement. What if you start at 25 rather than at 35? That gives you 40 years instead of 30. Look at how that number grows. This is all compound interest. So we saw, for example, in an earlier example that the budget showed Johnny Normal being able to save $400 a month when he had his budget the right side up. So I'm going to put in here $400 at 12% for 30 years. He's going to have a chunk of money. I think he can survive 25 years with that kind of money, living retired, which is better than his standard of living. So with that, I'm going to leave this example, and I'm going to go next to my next talk about investing in real estate and stocks. How does this look like to you?
Not good at all.
Okay, so I'm going to go down the example and I'll talk it through again. Hopefully it'll clear up. I'm making it bigger. Hopefully it shows up better. This is the example of don't buy cars, buy houses. So the don't buy cars, buy houses example talks about buying a car that costs $35,000 on a 10% down payment and getting a loan for the rest. So if you get a loan, a 5-year loan at 9%, your payment is going to be $661. You add insurance, fuel, and maintenance, and you're going to end up spending about $1,000 a month for this car. Once you add all these things up, and what we're the example here says that after 5 years, the resale value of your car is $16,500. Your loan is zero. So what it's saying is that you started with $3,000. You ended up with minus $18,500. Okay, so that's what happens when you buy a car. Now, the second half of the example is what happens when you buy a house. And in this example, I put a house that costs $350,000. And then you're also buying this house with a 3% down payment. That's $10,500. You have a loan of $339,000. your monthly payment is about $1,800. That's a 5% rate, a 30-year loan. The number may change if you have a different type of a loan. You pay tax, insurance, you pay maintenance. You end up spending $2,100 a month for this house that you bought. 5 years later, this house is going to appreciate, and it's going to be worth, if it appreciates 3% per year, that's the national standard historically. Now your house is worth $405,000. And your loan value went down because you diligently paid your loan every month. So in this example, it shows that you started at $10,500 and that you ended with $93,900 in the bank. So you can see the difference here, how an investment appreciates over time and an expense does not. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. I apologize for the, you can't see this. It is so much nicer if you could see it. All right, so discipline number 6. We have about 23 minutes left. I think we're doing good on time. Discipline number 6. Know your net worth, including the value of your business, because you cannot improve what you cannot measure and what you don't measure. So what this is a balance sheet. It's your financial scorecard. If you understand it, let me put it in simple terms. It's your scorecard. This is where you count everything that you own, your assets, and everything that you owe, so your liabilities. And the difference is your net worth. So this is where you're going to come up with this $25 that you want to put together so you can retire comfortably. So assets are possessions like your home, your 401k, your savings account, your checking account, the value of your car. If you were sell it on Craigslist. If you have other things of value, some people count their art and their jewelry. It depends. You can get creative with this, but as long as you can sell it and get some money, you could count it as an asset. And your liabilities are what you owe. So if you have a house, you probably have a mortgage. So the mortgage is your liability. A car loan is a liability. Your credit card balances are a liability. And any personal loans are a liability. So what you do here is that you put all your assets in one column and you add them up, and you put all your liabilities on the other column and you add it up. And the difference is your net worth. So I have here again a spreadsheet that is a simple balance sheet calculator. I'm going to make this as big as I can, and then I'll ask Jonathan what it looks like. I know it doesn't look good right now, but if you can see, here, then you have an assets column and you have a liabilities column. And I'm good. Just a second. Dang, I apologize about this. This is frustrating. Reconnecting. Okay, well. All right, go. How's that, Jonathan?
Much better.
All right, so I'll move quickly to this because I started with an example of myself when I was like 25 years old. At that time, I was worth about $3,500 and had credit card debt of $1,250, and that's all I had because I was still in college, or I was just getting out of college. So in this case, you can see that my assets add up to $4,700, and I have no liability. Or actually, let me fix this. The liabilities go on the liability side. That's my credit card debt. My liabilities added up to $1,250, so my net worth was $2,250. So let's go 10 years later. I was 35. I was able to buy a car. I've always bought used cars, so forgive me about this, but I've always bought used cars. $7,500. I've been working for 10 years now, and I've been diligently putting money in my stock on my company provided 401k, and I have $15,000 there. I did buy a toy. I bought a jet ski. Let's say the jet ski is $7,500, but I owe $5,000 to that one, and I paid off my credit card. So now you can see that my net worth is a little bit higher, right? So it's a simple calculation. So let's move forward to 45 years. and I'm 45. Now I bought a house. I've had it for 10 years, and I bought a $250,000 house. And of course, I have a loan on that one that is $225,000. I'm married now, and I have 2 cars, and they're each worth $7,500. So let's say $15,000. My stocks have grown to about $75,000 now, and I have no toys because I never went jet skiing, and I still have no debt. So my net worth is a little bit higher, and so on. I can show you that ideally, when you get close to retirement age, well, your house may be paid off. Let's say if my house is paid off right now. And of course, I have a little nicer car for me and my wife now. We're at $30,000 paid cash because we can. My stock account might grow a little bit more, and I still have no debt. So you can see how this number over time, and we're talking about 10, 20, 30, 40 years here, grows. At retirement age, if you play your cards right, you should be set so you can accomplish Johnny Normal's goal of maintaining your standard of living for those 25 years that you're going to live in retirement. Okay, so excuse me. All right, discipline number 7. We're done with the money disciplines. So this ones will go quicker, faster. So discipline number 7. Be politically savvy, because public policy matters. Everything you know is influenced by politics. So the price of gas, healthcare, unemployment rates, labor law, immigration, real estate, the stock market, it is all influenced by politics. And whether local politics or state politics or national politics, they're all relevant. And I'll tell you, by far, I am not a politically inclined person. I don't follow politics. For that, you'll have to talk to my buddy Dan or my buddy Ron or my buddy Pete. They follow politics. They're really involved. Personally, I try to stay away from this because it stresses me out. But I do know generally who believes what. I do know that who I want to vote for. And I do know that who I vote for will move the environment in the direction that I believe is the right direction. So take action, read a little bit, educate yourself, and go vote. That's all I have to say about politics. All right, discipline number 8, be physically fit, because wealth without health is meaningless. Take this one in. I mean, I could talk about this one as much as I can talk about the money ones. And I just may. We still have 15 minutes here. It's a long time. So how can you be the best at your profession if you're not healthy? Or how can you be a great family member if you can't participate? So what is the point of being wealthy if you can't leave your house, right? So this is all, being physically fit, eating and exercising, educate yourself, because your body is your vehicle and your body is your temple. Integrating fitness into your everyday day life, into your work day, walk more. It's simple. Create a healthy nutritional habit and, create healthy nutritional values in your life. So eat healthy or eat less, however you want to look at it. It takes discipline. It's like building wealth. A healthy lifestyle and a healthy nutritional regime, or how you eat every day. Notice I'm not calling them a diet, because a diet has a beginning, a middle, and an end. We're not talking this. We're talking a nutritional value system. So you're going to be healthy. You're going to eat healthy because you eat healthy, because you eat healthy, because you eat healthy, right? That too takes a plan and discipline to make it happen. It takes 12 weeks to form a habit. So if you want to start eating more salad and less McDonald's burgers, well, try it for 12 weeks, and then it's a habit. Then you're used to it, right? So educate yourself. So I'll just leave you with a couple of thoughts here. we've all heard about the 2,000 calorie daily calorie intake formula that we see on everything. You know, you buy something, you see it and it says this, you know, this is based on the 2,000 calorie intake thing. So how many calories do you think there are in a McDonald's burger value meal with fries, burgers, and a soft drink? It's about 2,000. All right, so let me ask you this. How many calories do you burn by exercising 1 hour? Approximately 600, depending on the level of effort. So that means that your Happy Meal is going to take 3.5 hours at the gym. That formula doesn't balance, right? Because if you're eating 4,000 calories a day, you're not going to spend 7 hours at the gym, right? How many calories in a pumpkin latte or a soft drink, you know, your 12-ounce Coke? Well, that's between 250 and 400 calories. That's about 45 minutes in the gym. So let me ask you this last formula. It's a pound. It's the formula that says that 3,500 calories equals 1 pound. So if you eat 3,500 calories more than when you burn in a week, you're going to increase a pound. If you eat 35 calories less in a week, this is a weekly number, than what you burn or what you burn, then you're going to lose weight. So think about that. How much you eat is important, and what you eat is important. So enough of that. Discipline number 8. Health without wealth is meaningless. So educate yourself. All right. Discipline number 9. We're almost at the end. Discipline number 9. Be generous with people who are less fortunate, because philanthropy feeds your heart and spirit and gives more purpose to your work. So helping people brings us joy. Helping people brings us pleasure. You know, what I say is that it could be any time. It could be later in your life when you're retired and you have time. It could be now if you want to go do a little food share in a food bank, or go volunteer your time at a hospital. It could also be anything. So it could be time or money, or knowledge. Any of those things. If you find a way to share it with the world and leave it better than how you found it, then you've done it. So philanthropy, like I said, it's food for the soul. All right, so getting to the last one here. Discipline number 10 says, be active on the lives of your family and children, because familia is central to who we are. It's in our DNA. It always comes back to this. So whether it's your parents or your kids, believe me, the roles will reverse at some point. So it's a little bit of karma as well. I can tell you, behind every successful individual, there's a strong family. So, again, I'm not going to talk about this all day, but call your parents today. Call your daughter if you have one, if they're younger, if they're out of the house. Call your sisters. Call your cousins, your grandparents, and your best friend too. They too are family. So with that, let's see. With that, I'll conclude the NAHREP 10 disciplines. We have about 9 minutes left. I'm assuming we don't have any questions, Jonathan?
None so far, but I would give it a minute, see if somebody's typing them up.
All right. Do you have any questions, John?
I think it was really, I don't have a question, more of a comment, but I think that was really important, the whole family aspect of things. I think that's something that people don't really focus on a lot.
Yeah. So let's see if I can get those 10 disciplines in back on the screen. If this looks better, is this clearer now?
Well, no.
All right. Well,
can you zoom into that slide, maybe?
Well, it's not letting you zoom into anything here. All right. Well, let's let's wait for a question or two. Otherwise, we can call it a day.
Definitely. Is there any chance you can post the links to these things?
Absolutely. So here's what I'll do. Let me show you, and thank you for that. This link right here is mywealthbeing.com, and that is a website, and it's also an email address. So it could be info@mywealthbeing.com or simply mywealthbeing.com. You're going to find there a blog where I talk about these things. You're going to find there a bunch of calculators like the ones that we had here today, and you can use them for yourself. So they're free. You can download them, and use them. So play with them. You know, it's going to be fun, and it's going to be, what's the word? Educational and maybe enlightening for everything that you do. So let's see. I have a lot of comments here on the chat that say, okay, so here's a question from the chat. Can you get compound interest in the banks? That's a great question. Yes, you can. Compound interest is built into any interest that you get once you invest your money. So compound interest works like this, and I'll explain it quickly. So if you have $1 and you're getting 10% return on your money at the end of 1 year, you're going to have $1.10. That's the first year. Now, if you start over the next year with $1.10 and you get 10% return on that, you're going to add 11 cents to that. So now you're going to have $1.21. That's in year number 2. On year number 3, you start with $1.21, and now you add 10%, it's going to be 12 cents. So you add that, and it grows to $1. What's the next number? $1.24, $1.36, and so on. So compound interest is the concept of the money growing over itself. So it's not something that the bank offers. All banks offer that for the fact that you're getting a return on your money. So you'll notice, for example, if you go to a bank, some banks will tell you about, you know, I'm going to give you 3% back. Some checking accounts give you nothing. So you could go find out what bank, you know, just like anything else, you shop for a good bank and you figure out where your money should go. When you're investing for retirement for the long term, then you want to go to a different type of bank that is not your checking and savings account kind of bank. It's more of a money market kind of bank where you can have this money and buy what they call stocks, index funds or mutual funds. And then we can talk about that as well.
We have another question over here, and it says, do you suggest schools should teach financial literacy at an early age?
Absolutely, yes. Please, thank you. And if you're a teacher, talk about it. There's a lot of ways to talk about money. There's 10 disciplines here. You know, half of them, more than half of them, are about financial literacy. This is the stuff they should teach us in high school, you know, in middle school. Parents start at a very early age by talking about the piggy bank, right? These are all savings. What we don't learn is how the financial system works and how you can invest enough money so when you retire, you're set, right? Most people, I mean, I guess I was talking to my daughter about this earlier today, and it's not even in their radar when you're 25 or 35. I mean, people don't start thinking about this until they're 45. And at that point, you only have 20 years to make up all this investment, all this prosperity and wealth. And it's much easier to do it when you have 30 years in front of you to do that. So let's see. Brenda says, but you can do so much better in different opportunities with banks. See if we have another question here. Good and important to share.
It says, besides investing in houses, where would you suggest to invest?
Okay, so besides investing in houses, okay, well, you have the main investing vehicles in the United States, in the world, is real estate and is the stock market. There are opportunities where you could, you know, somebody will offer you to invest in a business, I have, the pyramid schemes where you say, I'm going to sell a little bit, but then I'm going to make free money. Those don't work. And it's more likely that you're going to lose money than you're going to make money. So they talk about diversifying your investments as well. So that means that you have a little money in the stock market, you have a little money in a savings account, you have a little money in your real estate house. You can make a whole business out of real estate by buying and renting homes. You can also put your money safely into the stock market where you're buying index funds and mutual funds. And now let me clarify that, because it's important, because investing your money, just like you can make money, you can lose money as well. So that's why I insist that you have to educate yourself. So I am not an investment professional, and I actually suck at picking stocks. That's a bad word. I shouldn't say use that in a live television show. I'm terrible at picking a stock that's going to be a winner over time. But that's okay, because there are businesses and companies out there that put professionals in charge of that, and they create this product called a mutual fund. And what that is a professional picking funds in an industry. Say, I like internet, so I'm going to go find an internet mutual fund, and they're going to buy the stocks that have to do with the internet. And you can also do a quick research and see past history. So you can see that if a stock has a past history of making 12% historically over the past 15 years, it's likely that it'll do the same in the future. So you pick that one. If you see one that's historically makes 5%, well, you can pick it too, but you're not going to grow as fast. It may be safer, maybe not, but history usually tells you something. And that's something that you can easily do once you go to this banks that allow you to invest and research internet stocks and mutual funds and index funds. That's another one you can do, index funds. So we have a minute left. You mentioned
We have
401k Roth. Roth, what is that? Okay, so I'll quickly talk about that one. When you put money into an investment in the United States, and say you put in $10, and over 20 years it grew to $20. When you take this money out, the government wants their piece, and they're going to say, they call that capital gains. So you made $10 out of thin air. They're going to want their taxes out of that, and they're going to take whatever your tax bracket is, 15%, 10%, and whatnot. When you take that money back out of that savings account. Now, the question was 401k, and then there's a Roth 401k. And those are special accounts that they allow you to grow this money tax-free, right? Or they tax, see, there's two kinds, and we're running out of time, so I don't want to spend a lot of time here. The Roth one is where they tax the money up front and you put it into that savings account, and then it grows tax-free. So when you get it out, you don't pay taxes on it. That's the Roth concept. The other concept is where you put the money in tax-free. So they would take this money before you get paid, right? If you're a W-2 employee, they take taxes for every check that you make. Well, they take this money out before you pay taxes. They put it into a 401k, and it grows, and then you pay taxes afterwards. The consensus is that Roth is better because you're paying small taxes on a small amount now, and it's free later when it grows, than saving taxes on the small amount now and paying taxes on the big amount later. So with that, I think we got to close up. We are 1 minute past. I don't see any new questions. So thank you guys for your time. I hope this was helpful. You can reach me at this website here, mywealthbeing.com, at that email address. Please take a look at all the tools that I have there and the blogs. I explain everything that I talked about there too. There's also videos for the 10 disciplines that you can look at there. So with that, let's say thank you to our public. Thank you to our host. Thank you, Jonathan, for helping out today. I'm going to have a recording of this put on our YouTube page, on the Latino Chamber's YouTube page. So let me put that up here. The Latino Chamber is the Latino Chamber CO, and you can see, you've been seeing this in my background all along. Latino Chamber CO on Facebook, on YouTube, on the web is .org, and info@ you can get a hold of us this way as well. We're going to have this recording on both websites, so you can go back and look at them over there later. Next week, we're talking about how to use the internet to market your business on our weekly webinar, so come back and visit. And if you like this and you would like to get more information like this and services, please visit our website, subscribe to our channels, or become a member of the Latino Chamber of Commerce. So thank you very much. You guys have been awesome. And until next time.